Hi guys, in today's lesson I'm going to look at reflections and translations, and we're going to start off with translations. Now if I said to you hello, but then I said bonjour, I would be saying the same thing but in a different place. But one is a translation of the other, and that's what's going on here. We're going to look at the same thing but in a different place. So if I move this shape here, I'm just going to move it a few places along here and then down, and I'm just going to focus on one of the points in particular. So this point here, I moved 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 places that way. Moved it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 places that way. So 10 and then 9, and that would work with all of the points on this L shape. But what we're going to do is we're just going to think about just redrawing it from that point. So what I've done in effect is I've transformed the position of the shape. And then when I've transformed the position, what I started off with was called my object. And what I ended up with was my image. Okay, and things to notice are that the object is the same shape as the image, and in maths we have a word for that. They are congruent. Now I want to go back to these two numbers. I went 10 along and then 9 down. I'm going to say, okay, I went 10 along. That's normally the positive direction if we were doing any sort of graph work. You'll see I've got some axes, so we're going to look at some graphs in a moment. So that's a positive number, but this is coming down. So that's going in the positive direction. This is coming down, so that's the negative direction. So I'm going to change my 9 to a negative 9, and then I'm going to put them together in what we know as a vector, and where this is the horizontal and this is the vertical movement. Probably could have done with that a different colour pen for that. Now really that's all we need to know about translations, is that we've got positive, negative, positive, negative, but the top number here is your horizontal movement, your bottom number is your vertical movement. Now before we go on to reflections, I want to just talk about some straight lines. Now if I drew a line here that went through the x-axis at 4, I'm going to call that line x equals 4. And it makes sense why it's called x equals 4, because this point here is 0, 4. This one is 1, 4, 2, 4. Sorry, this is 4, 0. This is 1, 4. This is 4, 1, 4, 2, 4, 3, 4, 4, 4, 5, 4, 6, 4, 7. So at any point along that line, the x part in the coordinate is always 4. So you've got 4 minus 1, 4 minus 2, 4 minus 3, 4 minus 4, etc. So that first number is always 4, so that x number is 4. So similarly with this one, if that crosses at minus 5, there, that line would be x equals minus 5. Because all the x coordinates, or every place on that line, would be minus 5 something. Now it doesn't take a genius to know that, or to work out that I'm going, that is y equals 2, and this one down here would be y equals minus 6. And they're going to figure quite strongly in what we're going to do with our reflections. But two others that we do need to know are this one. That one is y equals x, and in that one, in the coordinate pair, these two numbers are always the same. So for example, 5, 5 would be on that line just there. And in this line here, going in the opposite direction, it's very similar. But in this case, if I was to look on here, 2 minus 2, 4 minus 4, the second number, the y one, is always the negative of what the first one was. So y equals the negative x. Now we're going to focus on the horizontal and vertical ones mainly, but it's always useful to know those ones. So what I'm going to look at now is I'm going to draw a shape over here, just something simple like a rectangle. And I want to reflect in x equals, sorry, let's go for y equals 2. So if I look for the line y equals 2, come 2 up my y-axis and go across. From the work that you've done in physics, what you should know is that the image is always the same distance the other side of the mirror as the object is. So if this shape here, that's 4 away, so I'm going to put a point 4 away from that mirror line. This one here is 6 away from the mirror line, so I'm going to have to go 6 away from the mirror line there. Just make sure I match it up nicely, because I don't want something wonky. So that would be my reflection. And remember what we start with. It's the object. And what we end up with is the image. And sometimes we might take that a little bit further and say, if this is the rectangle R, then this would be the rectangle R dash. And the other things that we know that we've learnt already is that R and R dash are congruent. Because they're the same shape. I mean, there might be a twist or a reflection. Imagine if it was a triangle, the point of the triangle facing up in the first one, point facing down in the second one. They're still the same triangle, they've still got the same dimensions, the same angles, the same sides inside, so around, so that they're still the same triangle, so they're still congruent. Let's look at this one. So I'm going to say reflect in y equals 1 and then x equals minus 1. So let's find our y equals 1 line first. So notice this is 4 away, so that one's going to be 4 away. This one here is 11 away, so this one's going to have to be 11 away, which is there, and 3 across. So I might say my first reflection is R dashed, if this is R, and then I've got to reflect again in x equals -1, which is here. And again 3, and 3, 3, 3, and 6, 6. And if we were doing 2 stages to get to a reflection, we would probably say that that was R double dash. Okay, so 2 things, well, 3 things really today. First of all, translation, horizontal figure on the top, positive, negative, vertical figure on the bottom, positive, negative. When we're looking at lines on graphs, vertical and horizontal lines, an x equal line is a vertical line crossing the x-axis at what it's equal to. So x equals 4 crosses the x-axis at 4, and similarly y equals 2 crosses the y-axis at 2. Some interesting ones here: y equals x, that have the same numbers on every point, 5, 5, 4, 4, 3, 3, 2, 2, 1, 1, and y equals -x goes in exactly opposite direction, 1, -1, 2, -2, 3, -3, etc. When we're asked to reflect, we need to remember that the image is the same distance away from the mirror as the object. So I went 4 and then 4 and then 6 and then 6. And things about the object may be called a letter, but the image would be that letter dashed. It doesn't have to be R, I just chose rectangles for there. The object and the image are congruent shapes, and we can do more than one reflection. So we can reflect one way and then the other way, and our first reflection would be R dash, and our second reflection would be R double dash, and still R and R dash are congruent, and you may even sharper, put my teeth in, amongst you will even see that that's probably even a rotation of 180 degrees as well. That's all for future, but hopefully you've taken that on board. Thank you.